Breaking news tonight, former FBI Director James Comey indicted by the Department of Justice and an arrest warrant issued. Will the renewed fight against one of the president's biggest political foes hold up in court? The new case against Comey stemming from this photograph of seashells arranged in the number 8647, which prosecutors allege is a direct threat to the president. How Comey is responding tonight after the first indictment in a separate case was thrown out by a judge. Also tonight, the Trump administration threatening the broadcasting licenses of ABC-owned stations amid the president's escalating feud with Jimmy Kimmel. The rare move as Kimmel pushes back on President Trump's call to fire him. King Charles's historic trip to Washington, the pomp and circumstance at the White House, and his stirring address to Congress. The royal stressing the closeness between the British and the U.S. despite the new rift between the two countries, and how he pushed back on the president's criticism of NATO. New rounds of dangerous storms threatening millions. Dramatic images of hail smashing car windshields. This tree slamming into a house. The risk for tornadoes. Plus the wildfire in Miami-Dade County. We're tracking it all. Presidential passport. President Trump's portrait about to be featured inside of some new passports. Wild video capturing a hot air balloon slamming into a casino building. How it lost control. And there's good news tonight. The adorable die-hard Yankees fan waiting for a heart transplant, getting a surprise visit from the Bronx Bombers. Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
And good evening. We begin tonight with the Trump administration indicting for a second time the president's longtime political foe. Former FBI Director James Comey facing federal charges again. This time over allegations he threatened to harm the president. And we're just learning tonight that Comey is likely to turn himself in later this week. This is the social media post that led to the indictment. Look closely. They are seashells arranged on a beach, simply spelling out 8647. 86 often refers to canceling or getting rid of something or someone, which prosecutors are now calling a direct threat against the 47th president. The charges come months after Comey was indicted in a different case, which a federal judge tossed last year. Comey just tonight saying he's still innocent. Now, major questions over the potential political nature of this indictment and whether it will hold up in court. It's all happening as the Trump administration raises the stakes with late-night host Jimmy Kimmel. The FCC taking an unprecedented step, seeming to threaten Disney's ability to broadcast across the country through its own TV stations. All of it part of a very busy day in Washington that included a rare address to Congress by King Charles. We'll cover all of it tonight, but we start with NBC's Kelly O'Donnell at the Justice Department.
Round two. Tonight, a new indictment and an arrest warrant against former FBI Director James Comey. A fresh attempt to prosecute a figure the president publicly targeted for retribution.
Threatening the life of the President of the United States will never be tolerated by the Department of Justice.
A federal grand jury in North Carolina indicting Comey for making a threat to take the life of the president and communicating that threat across state lines on social media. In 2025, Comey posted, "Cool shell formation on my beach walk." The numbers 8647 arranged on sand. Interpreted by some as an old slang term, 86 for get rid of and 47 referring to the president. Facing backlash, Comey writing, "I didn't realize some folks associated with violence, so I took it down."
He knew exactly what that meant. A child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination.
The Justice Department says Comey's post is not protected free speech, but a crime.
How will you prove intent when Mr. Comey said he did not associate 86 with doing harm and he took it down promptly?
Well, it's not. This case was indicted today. How do you prove intent in any case? You prove intent with witnesses, with documents, with the defendant himself to the extent it's appropriate, and that's how we'll prove intent in this case.
Comey responding tonight.
I'm still innocent. I'm still not afraid. And I still believe in the independent federal judiciary, so let's go.
The Trump-Comey relationship has been bitter for years. The president angered by the Russia investigation.
He's a dirty cop. Comey, I think he's a dirty cop.
I think he's morally unfit to be president.
An unrelated federal indictment against Comey last year, where he was accused of lying to Congress, was dismissed by a judge. But the DOJ is appealing.
And Kelly, I know you have some new reporting about the arrest warrant issued for Comey.
Tom, despite that arrest warrant, two senior law enforcement officials tell us that discussions are underway for Comey to voluntarily turn himself in North Carolina this week. Now, Comey's lawyer says his defense will work to vindicate Comey and the First Amendment. Tom?
All right, Kelly O'Donnell leading us off tonight. Now to the controversy surrounding late-night host Jimmy Kimmel. In an unprecedented move, the FCC will be reviewing ABC stations' licenses. It comes after his comments about the First Lady days before the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Chloe Malas explains.
Tonight, pressure is mounting for ABC and Disney after an unprecedented move by the FCC, ordering all 8 Disney-owned local stations at major cities across the country to file early license renewals years before their expiration. If the renewals are not granted, they would lose their ability to broadcast. Tom Wheeler served as FCC chairman under President Obama.
Good question. Let me be real specific. It has been 40 years since the FCC revoked a license, a broadcast television license.
The FCC has been investigating Disney, the parent company of ABC, over its DEI policy since last year. A source with knowledge of the matter tells NBC News that Kimmel's recent comments about the First Lady will now be part of the review.
You know how sometimes you wake up in the morning and the First Lady puts out a statement demanding you be fired from your job?
Jimmy Kimmel addressing the latest controversy.
Oh, I agree that hateful and violent rhetoric is something we should reject. I do, and I think a great place to start to dial that back would be to have a conversation with your husband about it. Because
this clash stemming from a joke the late-night host made last week in a sketch about the then-upcoming White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Our First Lady, Melania, is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
Kimmel now defending his words.
It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not, by any stretch of the definition, a call to assassination.
Melania Trump called Kimmel's words hateful and violent rhetoric, sentiments echoed by President Trump, who demanded Kimmel's dismissal. The firestorm comes just a month after new Disney CEO Josh D'Amaro took the helm, and 7 months after ABC briefly suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live after controversial remarks about the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. In a statement to NBC News, Disney says they have a long record of operating in full compliance with FCC rules.
Chloe Malas joins us now live in studio. So, Chloe, talk to us. How can Disney defend itself if they do lose those licenses?
Sure. So I just want to point out, Tom, that this entire process could play out in the court system for years. And ultimately, if these broadcast licenses were not to be renewed, Disney could appeal this, and those broadcast stations, they would continue to broadcast during this entire process.
All right. Chloe Malas first. Chloe, good to see you. Thank you. Now to that historic visit by King Charles and Queen Camilla, including a speech to Congress where the king celebrated close ties with America while also praising NATO after President Trump's criticisms. Here's Gabe Gutierrez.
Tonight, a royal reset amid pomp and pageantry. King Charles and Queen Camilla arriving to a red carpet welcome here at the White House under overcast skies.
What a beautiful British day this is.
President Trump honoring the monarchs, despite his recently strained relationship with the UK over the Iran war, the future of NATO, and tariffs.
Americans have had no closer friends than the British.
The president, whose mother was from Scotland, getting personal, telling the king about her love for the royal family.
My mother had a crush on Charles. Can you believe it?
After a military flyover, a private meeting in the Oval Office, 56 years after a previous visit, the king delivering a historic speech to a joint meeting of Congress, condemning the third assassination attempt against President Trump.
Let me say with unshakable resolve, such acts of violence will never succeed.
While gently pushing back on the president's criticism of NATO.
The challenges we face are too great for any one nation to bear alone.
and specifically backing Ukraine.
Today, Mr. Speaker, that same unyielding resolve is needed for the defense of Ukraine and her most courageous people.
The king not meeting with survivors of Jeffrey Epstein or their families, even after removing his brother's royal title. Former Prince Andrew has denied wrongdoing related to the late sex offender.
Gabe joins us now live. Gabe, there's a state dinner there at the White House tonight, part of a packed schedule for the king and queen.
Yes, Tom. This afternoon, the king met with tech titans, including Amazon's Jeff Bezos and Apple's Tim Cook. Tomorrow, the royals are scheduled to head to New York to visit the 9/11 memorial, along with Mayor Zoran Mamdani. Tom.
Okay, Gabe. Now to the devastating storm sweeping across the country with giant hail cracking windshields. As night falls, parts of Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi are all under tornado watches. Shaquille Brewster reports from the storm zone tonight.
Tonight, tornado sirens ringing out, dark clouds rolling over Bowie, Texas, as another round of dangerous severe weather sweeps through. Destructive hail slamming the nation's heartland from Arkansas.
We just got pelted in Missouri by a hailstorm.
To Missouri, hail cracking this car's windshield. This tree crashing into a home in Kalamazoo, Michigan. While in Kent County, police say a 39-year-old man died after being struck by a falling tree. Meanwhile, planes fighting a new wildfire in Miami-Dade County, Florida, as Georgia's wildfires rage on, the Pineland Road fire expanding to more than 32,000 acres. Back in the Midwest, strong winds leaving more than 200,000 without power this morning. In Clifton County, Illinois, this funnel cloud seen through flashes of lightning. In Germantown, Illinois, where daylight revealed the devastation after a tornado tore through this community, this is what Michelle Welton's home looks like now, after she raced for shelter as warning sirens blared.
It was so fast, you know. Yeah. We just heard glass and everything crashing.
The roofs of several homes there now gone. Her neighbors spending the day coming together to clear debris.
How do you rebuild?
I have no idea. I don't know.
And with that, Shaq joins us tonight live from Germantown, Illinois. And Shaq, we see the destruction there just behind you. Cleanup could take quite some time now.
Tom, that's right. And throughout the day, we saw this homeowner racing to do what he can to get as many of his items outside of this house as possible. You see why that tree on the backside uprooted, crashing down. His home no longer has a roof. Similar situation for this home here. No roof as well. But both homeowners tonight, Tom, are safe.
Incredibly survived that. All right, Shaq, thank you. In Minnesota tonight, federal and state agents executing more than 20 search warrants at businesses across the Twin Cities. Raids linked to a growing fraud scandal that has reached the steps of the White House. Maggie Vespa has been following this one for us and has this story.
Tonight, new raids rocking Minnesota with video showing federal and state authorities executing more than 20 search warrants at sites across the Twin Cities, including autism centers, child care facilities, and at least one senior center. All federal authorities say tied to allegations of widespread welfare fraud within Minnesota's large Somali community.
It's just a simple question. Where are the children?
Allegations reignited by this viral video posted 4 months ago by a right-wing influencer claiming multiple Somali-run child care centers in Minnesota were fraudulently collecting state subsidies while sitting empty. But according to the state agency in charge, one of those centers was closed. The others were operating as expected. Today's raids marking the boldest move yet by a new White House fraud task force led by Vice President Vance.
You have families who need these services who are unable to get them because people are getting rich off of fraud schemes.
The Trump administration repeatedly citing the fraud allegations as cause for launching high-profile immigration raids in Minneapolis earlier this year, during which at least 2 U.S. citizens were shot and killed. Governor Tim Walz denouncing those ICE operations, but applauding today's raids. And the Minnesota Department of Human Services saying they're fed up with people taking advantage of the system.
And Maggie, you're at one of the centers raided today, and you just talked to an employee there. What did they tell you?
Yeah, Tom, that's right. She just came to this door behind me. She told me she's been turning parents away all day and that the owner right now isn't here to comment. It's worth noting we've reached out to him as well as 2 other centers. So far, no response. We also mentioned Governor Walz in that piece. He dropped his re-election bid amid this fraud scandal. He's set to give his final State of the State tonight.
Tom.
Maggie Vespa for us. Maggie, we thank you. We're back in a moment with the mid-air scare. What happened after a hot air balloon smashed into this casino? We'll explain. Back now with a new passport design unveiled today. A State Department official says President Trump's face will be printed on the inside of a limited series of passports to commemorate 250 years of American independence starting this summer. This is how it looks. It comes just weeks after the Treasury Department announced the president's signature will also appear on U.S. currency. The soldier accused of betting on the ouster of former Venezuelan leader Nicolás Maduro pleaded not guilty at an arraignment today. Gannon Ken Van Dyke, who authorities say was involved in the U.S.'s military raid in Caracas to capture Maduro, is accused of making more than $400,000 after using inside information to place bets on Polymarket. And in California, video capturing a hot air balloon slamming into the top of a casino building, the basket appearing to get stuck before making an emergency landing in a field. Police say strong winds caused the balloon to launch from the casino and that it also hit a power line. Somehow, the one person aboard was not injured. Incredible. When we come back tonight here on Nightly News, why the Bronx Bombers couldn't be stopped from meeting a special superfan even in Boston. We'll explain next. Finally, there's good news tonight for a young Yankees superfan. He's in the hospital awaiting a heart transplant in Boston, but that didn't stop the Bronx Bombers from paying him a surprise visit. Take a look.
Hey Yankees, my name's Walker.
Meet 7-year-old Walker Farrington. In these halls, he's known as Walker the Heart Warrior. He was born with a congenital heart defect and is a patient at Boston Children's Hospital. But even though he's in Boston,
Let's go Yankees.
He's a diehard fan of the New York Yankees, often wearing his pinstripe jersey and celebrating team sweeps. Last week, when the Yankees traveled to Boston, ready to take on their rivals, the Red Sox, Walker invited the team to visit.
I'll be right here waiting.
Members of the team surprising him.
Hey, are you Walker?
Stopping by to say hello. Superstar hitter Aaron Judge even FaceTiming, moved by Walker's fight.
We can do hard things, Walker. I loved it. And so that is such a great quote.
What started off as just sort of a fun video, trying to pass the time while we were here, turned into something so much bigger.
That night at Fenway, the Yankees tapping this sign on their way to the field with a message from Walker. Play like a warrior today.
Just to see it in practice and see the guys and the players buy into that, it made me emotional that night.
It's a very isolating journey, so all these messages of support, it definitely helps give us the boost during the hard times.
All right, go Yanks and go Walker. That's Nightly News for this Tuesday. I'm Tom Llamas. Thanks so much for watching. Tonight and always, we're here for you. Good night. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.